So we are here amongst the beautiful colour at Boyles of Killorglin, and in amongst them all we have the lovely Trish, our garden expert. Trish, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm cooling down now a little bit after all our hot sunshine.
I know, since we last had the show, my God.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't quite as bad of a heat wave as they got over in the UK.
Definitely not, but it was lovely. It was lovely to get.
It was nice.
Everybody's been waiting for it for a long time, so it was nice to get it.
There was a lot of frustration, I think, with people going, I'm not going to Spain or Portugal, but like, it was nice to get the heat and stuff like that. But as of course what always happens after a little spell like that, the gardens may have suffered a bit. So if anyone has kind of got a bit of browning around their hedges or their shrubs or their grass or anything like that, what sort of tips could we give to people who may have had a bit of
the things that would have gone worse now really over the sunny weather was pots and containers, and because anything that's in the ground, there would have been enough moisture. If they have been planted for a good while, they'd be fine with a couple of days of sunshine. But it's the likes of the pots. Even had a lady in here this morning, she said she had a pot in a grave, wasn't there over the weekend, she was redoing it again this morning.
Okay.
But if you had pots beside the front door, you were watering, but maybe not watering enough, or might have been watering over the sunshine as well, because if you water when it's very strong sunlight on top of the leaves or in the flowers, it will scorch them. But all is not lost. Like, you can just deadhead them, take off the dead leaves. They will rejuvenate themselves and produce new shoots. And if you deadhead the flowers that have faded away, they'll produce more flowers then as well. So all is not lost, but just to look after them a bit, tidy them up. It was a hard weekend on them, like ourselves.
Yeah, it was. It was. A lot of people felt it, all right.
Yeah, and if you have any trees or shrubs that have been planted recently, they're the ones that you want to look after in hot, sunny weather.
Okay.
You need to water them. Now, the best time to water them is early morning or late in the evening, because if you water them during the day, I know we water here during the day, that's because we're open between 9 and 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you water them early morning, you don't have the full direct sunlight on them, or in the evening time as well, and they'll absorb the moisture that bit easier then as well. But definitely keep them watered, especially big trees or anything like that have been recently planted, and shrubs. Keep them watered.
Keep them watered.
Yeah.
Now, with all that in mind, you brought over a bit of a barrel here, but it's not any ordinary barrel.
It's not the beer barrel or the whiskey barrel.
We could be using that as well too. No, this is actually a water butt you have here.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
I know we say it all the time, but it's only when you start getting the dry weather, that's when you think, oh God, I wish I would put up a water butt. So put it now. A couple of hours of rain, or even an hour of rain, will fill that.
Go away, just even that.
It will. We do have, we water all our plants here in the garden centre with a tank, and it's the overflow from the roof of the tunnel that we're here standing underneath, and that waters all our plants. It's so much better for plants as well, rainwater.
There's
so
no
much
fluoride, there's no nothing
There's
from out of the tap.
There's absolutely nothing, and you will see the difference, like being in a plant watered with tap water and rainwater.
Okay.
And of course, obviously the big thing is that you're saving water.
Absolutely, because there will be a couple of, there's always kind of drought notices and stuff like that going around, so it is important. So there's lots of different water butts you can get. This is just one selection of the barrel. It's really nice, actually.
It is nice. It doesn't have to be an ugly thing at the side of the house off your downpipe. I mean, that looks lovely to look at. Yeah, it's fabulous. There's a little tap on it then. There's a little stand that goes underneath it, so you can turn on your tap and you could water away with that.
Excellent. Okay.
I suppose another thing as well, if people, they get excited with the lawns when the hot weather comes.
Everyone starts going out cutting them.
Yeah.
Is that probably a bad idea?
If you do have to cut it at the highest setting. I can even see at home, my young fellow was going out to cut the lawn. I says, put it on 7, don't be putting it on 4 or 5.
Okay, yeah.
Keep it so that the grass is there. If you skint it that last Friday or Saturday, you were in serious trouble. And Alan's there looking. Yeah. If I gave it a good skinning, it'll do now for a couple of weeks.
I'm guilty. Yeah, no, I did. I did it. And I did try and go with the highest setting, but I got a new lawnmower and it's a lot lower than my previous one.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is my lawn looked quite green.
Yeah.
But then after I cut it, underneath all of a sudden it exposed a lot of brown. So I did make that mistake. So there's a lot of people out there doing it.
Yeah, if you are mowing the lawn in hot weather, keep it at the highest setting. Now the thing is, people wonder, do I water the lawn? No, you don't.
Okay.
You don't. You leave it. It's well able to cope itself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing as bad as all the wastage of water that goes on with people watering lawns.
Yeah.
And there is no
people think
need.
like they're on a golf course or something, you know what I mean? That's totally different. Americans as well too, they'd always have the sprinkler systems, but here we don't have that.
We don't need that,
consistent
because
heat.
I guarantee you, during the week, next week, we'll have rain again.
Well, we had a few little drops over the last couple of days.
Like, it's never far away, so there's definitely no need to go out watering on. So basically, it's your pots, your containers, and your newly planted trees or shrubs. That's the only thing you need to worry about watering, and get your water butts up.
Excellent. So we'll see if hopefully will be nice sunny days, but maybe not as hot over the summer. Right, well, let's move on to our main topic here right in front of us. we have some absolutely beautiful colour here on the table at Boyles of Killorglin. And these are our, shall we say, late summer bloomers?
Late summer bloomers,
Yeah.
like that. I mean, obviously, early summer, you have all the bedding plants, you have all different plants, but even if your plants are kind of getting a bit, there's not enough colour there, and I really would love a nice pot of colour outside, or where I'm sitting down at the decking or whatever, there is plenty to buy. Just walk into the garden centre. The minute you walk in the door, you'll see all the different colour. So I have a little selection here. At the moment, the dahlias would be considered late flowering.
Okay.
They flower from July up until about end of September, October. They're fantastic. They're really, really hardy as well. But like the colours on them are, like, look at that one, the red one. It's stunning, and it's got a lovely
beautiful
yellow centre then in the middle of it as well. The foliage is a lovely dark leaf, so it brings up the red colour. Beside it then you've got a lovely white one.
Yeah.
And then behind it then you've kind of got, I suppose, an orangey yellow
It's
one.
like, yeah, it is. It's like
there's two different
peach
colours
and yellow.
going on in it.
It's fantastic.
And
yeah.
again, the foliage is like with the white, it's just a green
That's a
leaf.
darker leaf, while the white
Yes.
has kind of a lighter green.
But this is my favourite, I think.
Oh, look, it is.
And James
just-
gave it to me this morning doing the show. He says it'll suit the colouring of your
It
your
looks
top.
perfect with your top. Yeah.
But
It is stunning.
that is stunning. Like the dark
So
leaf on
vibrant
that over it.
Against the dark leaf.
It's
it
a
is
lovely
really, really nice.
cerise pink now for anyone that's listened to us on the radio.
And what is that one called?
That one is called Dahlia Pink.
Dahlia pink.
Yeah, Dahlia Pink.
Okay.
They keep the name simple.
They do, fair play to them.
Yeah, so like that now you can get taller dahlias and small ones. So
Okay.
have a look at the labels or ask us here at the garden centre as to what height, because if they're the tall ones, you do tend to have to stake them a little bit.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
they kind of fall
because
over.
they fall over. Even
Heavy,
though
they've got a heavy flower
a heavy
head,
head in
really.
it.
Yeah.
So all you'd have to do, you can get plant supports for them, or even just put bamboo canes with a little bit of soft string, just
Okay.
to hold them in together,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And
Generally,
this is the one as well too, which is very different to the other dahlias, because this looks more dainty and just a lot less
lovely.
petals. But this
Yeah.
is just a dahlia yellow, very simple.
It's actually a single flowering one. The ones I've showed you here before are real double ones, but
They
that's
are,
a lovely
yeah.
single one. As you say, very, very pretty. Now, I suppose what we're trying to do as well in the gardens is attract more pollinators into the garden. So they say the single flowers are better for the bees to get into. If you see there now in the middle of that,
Yeah.
you've got the stamen straight away, so the bee can go directly
Straight in.
Whereas with this one, they kind of have to, it's just more work for them.
True, yeah.
You know, so the single flowering ones, it's always good to have a lot of singles in the garden as well if you're trying to attract the pollinators in.
How about this big, huge one in the middle? Would that be one? They couldn't miss this
They
if that
couldn't
was in
miss
it.
that. I'd say they'd see that a couple of miles and they'd be diving in for
They
it.
will, yeah.
That's a lovely new one now. It's a Rebecca. But it's absolutely fabulous. Usually the Rebecca's we would have had would be kind of something similar to the dahlia flower, brighter yellow, but that kind of size. But this one is just fantastic.
It's nearly sunflower-esque. It's
It
like
is,
that big,
yeah.
because you just for all the listeners who are on the radio, the flower is actually quite flat and kind of spread out.
Yes, yeah.
And it's got a beautiful kind of a dark yellow, but then there's like a burnt orange around the centre. It's
absolutely
really,
fabulous.
really nice.
Yeah, beautiful. Now that'll grow to about 2 feet high. So
Yeah.
again, no matter what you plant, just take note of the heights of these things. If you've shrubs that have finished flowering, that would have been flowering earlier in the year, it's nice to add in the bit of late flowering perennials, and that'll give a little boost to your bed then as well, and
Okay.
it'll be fabulous.
Excellent.
Now I have another one here. It's not in flower at the moment yet,
Yeah.
but it's a great one to actually plant at this time of the year. It's a sedum. Now this is absolutely fantastic for bees and butterflies. It has a pink flower on it. Now the leaf on that is kind of rubbery, so it
This
is
seems like another one of those very hardy plants, is it? Yeah.
ideal for your seaside conditions then as well.
Okay.
But as with all these perennials, they all like a well-drained, a lot of them like the sunshine. They might take some semi-shade, all right, but don't have them in too wet of a place is the main thing.
Okay.
So if you've got a heavy soil, just loosen up the soil, put in some grit or sand and really look after it in that way, and you'll get, the rewards you get from it then will be great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That sedum has loads of buds as well. that
Loads
is
of buds.
really going
Now,
to burst.
we'll show that later in the season when
Okay.
it does come out in
Excellent.
flower, but
Look
it's just a
forward to
thing
that.
that you could be planting now, and you'll have that in flower maybe about the middle of August. So it's something just to add into the garden.
Now out the front there now as well too, we've
Yeah.
got a nice another ball of colour there. Beautiful.
Yellow
kind of
is always lovely. Like I
goldy
like
yellow.
it. It's a bold yellow, exactly, and it's a nice small little plant, and it grows to about a foot and a half. It's a Choreopsis is the name
Choreopsis.
of it, and that
You
is
would nearly call it a Kerryopsis with the
Kerryopsis,
colours
and
there now with the Sunday. I don't know how, I can't believe I've gone this long without mentioning the All Ireland, but there you go. It's a real
I had to have a little bit of
green and gold.
going
Yeah,
on.
that's a perfect
But
Kerry
it is,
plant.
it's fabulous, absolutely lovely. It's really, really bright, and you can see with the plant there, it's just so full of flowers. Like you can imagine that gets bigger. And then you have your alstemerias or your Peruvian lilies, some people know them.
Peruvian lilies.
They are invaluable.
Wow.
The flower you get from them is fantastic.
These guys, now there's stems coming out of this all sides.
Every side.
Is this a real kind of cover? This will really cover a lot of area.
Spread out about maybe 2 feet, and it'll grow to about 1.5, 2 feet wide. Again, we have an all mixture of colours here in the garden centre. We just have the red one here in front of us.
It's beautiful red, yeah.
Ideal for pots or into the ground. If anybody was in Killarney House, they've lovely alstemerias there going up the pathway as well.
Okay, yeah.
And they're fabulous. They're brilliant. Anybody that sees them here and they go, oh my goodness, that's the alstemeria. I've one at home, and it's absolutely brilliant. So they're lovely. Again, well-drained soil. Definitely won't do in a wet area.
Okay, right. Moving on to more colour.
Yes.
And have we got any?
Your osteospermums. Now they again come in all different colours. They're a daisy, so like with all daisies, they require the full sun.
Full sun.
Full sun. That's how they perform their best. If they're in shade, they don't close up completely, but they don't perform as well. Again, we have them in purples, pinks, whites, yellows.
Maroon, sorry.
I wonder where Alan comes from.
I'm staying over here by the maroon, purple osteospermum. But I saw Miguel as well too. He was on Instagram during the week as well too. And they were the kind of flower of the week here.
Exactly, and they're fantastic because if you have them in pots, even they would be your centerpiece in your pot, and then you could surround it then by a few bedding plants, and they'll flower right up until about October.
Excellent.
Just again, deadhead. What you'd be doing is taking off right down to the next leaf or the next bud or whatever,
and encouraging the growth.
Encourages more buds to come on and more flowers to come on. And with all pots, then make sure to keep them fed then as well. Feed them with your Miracle Grow, your tomato food. There's loads of different products out there for feeding. Feed them about every 2 weeks. Because the difference, if you don't feed even your window box, because there's so many plants inside in the window box.
They're all fighting for it.
They're all fighting for it. So just every 2 weeks is enough. Give it a thing.
Right, well, another thing we have to be very careful of is bugs.
Yes.
We need to get rid of those bugs. They've got bugs on the plants.
We do, and a lot of people like to keep organic so we do have a good range of organic chemicals inside in the shop then as well. So that's just the bug one, which will kill your green fly, your white flies.
Your aphids as well. And this is called Growing Success Naturally.
Yes.
So safe for garden bug stop. So brilliant. Bee and wildlife friendly is what you look for in the front. There's obviously an organic symbol here as well too. Soil associated. It's all the things there. So it's a fantastic one that you can use across.
Yeah.
What about your fruit as well?
Your fruit, your roses, any your edible crops, anything like that. As I say, we have a good range between weed killers and insecticides that can be used. So just to have a look at that if you're want to save the planet a little bit more.
Right. What about those nasty slugs? There's a lot of them around.
There
you
is
can
a lot
see
of
the trails,
them around.
trails in the morning all around the place.
And again, not a lot of people like putting down the slug pellets because you have to remember the birds then as well.
They see these little purple or blue
the
kind of
blue
things
ones,
and they'll put them in their mouth and could
so the thing is, this is like a little slug trap. So basically what you do is you dig a little hole in the ground.
Yeah.
You put the base of it into it. You put some water along with salt.
Salt, okay.
So that will actually kill the slugs and the snails. They'll just pop in.
They'll just go, wee.
Or you can put a bit of beer in it, but put the salt in as well.
I was going to say, what? And I was actually, that is a beer bottle on the back. They actually says it,
So you can put beer in it as well, but put the salt in as well, because that kind of gives them, I know it sounds cruel, but it gives them their final.
Okay, right. Do slugs have any actual good purpose?
Not really.
Okay, that's been an honest question.
No, I know
wondering.
They don't. They eat and eat all our plants.
There could well be some real biological
maybe it
purpose,
probably is,
but from a gardening point of view, they are just nothing but a nuisance.
Okay, that's it.
Right. Speaking of a nuisance, we might also have some brambles and nettles coming in because the nettles are kind of in the high season for where they are at the moment.
They are, or if you have brambles, or if you have thistles, or anything like that, but not have a lot and you just want to spot treat it, because sometimes you might have thistles coming up near shrubs or whatever. You obviously don't want to go in with the knapsack sprayer in case you touch your shrubs. So that one is a ready-to-use one. You just spray it directly onto the thistle, the bramble, whatever tough weed you have, and that'll kill it. It'll go right down into the root.
And the one thing that I found interesting about this when we did this last year as well was that it's literally, you just need to get the leaf.
Yes.
You don't have to go with the roots. You don't have to get down, because sometimes you'd nearly lacerate your hand going in under a bramble bush. Excuse me, but this just gets absorbed by the leaf.
What happens is if you hit it on the leaf, it's what's called a systemic. So it takes it into the plant and down into the root, and that's how a chemical works. Okay. So as you say, you don't necessarily have to drown the roots or anything like that.
Now, one final thing before we finish up, because it's been such a packed show. There are people coming into you asking about filling space in their beds or in their
vegetable
patch and in their things. So we actually you have a selection of I'll give you a few here now as well too, of things that could still be grown right now and will actually grow quick in a greenhouse or a veg patch.
Now a lot of people are coming in looking for trays of lettuce. We don't have them anymore, but you can actually still sow your seeds of your lettuce. It will still come up. Like within 2 weeks you'll have a head of lettuce.
You'll have a little plant.
Do you know, so don't be afraid to sow. You'll be thinking, oh, it's too late in the season. Sow your lettuce. Another quick one then is your radishes.
You always see how quick they are.
They come right up and they're lovely in salads. I mean, this time of the year we all want a salad bowl. So it's a
especially
variation.
When the weather is nice as well, and like there's rocket here as well, spinach. And if anyone who's on a health buzz, wheatgrass.
Yes.
Another quick
that's another one to grow. Now, when you're sowing the seed of that can be sown any time of the year. Make sure you have a very fine compost, no lumps or anything into it. Make sure it's moist. Put down your seed, cover it over then, it likes the darkness. After 4 to 5 days, lift the top tray or lift the cover. And then what happens then, once 2 leaves comes on it, you can cut it. That's when it's at its most nutritious.
Okay, excellent. So
and then a final one then is your cabbages.
Now this is not for cabbage this season.
No, it's spring cabbage, but now's the time to sow your seed for the cabbage.
Right.
So we have different varieties with Durham area, Early and Duncan, and both of them can be sown from now until September, and they will give a head of cabbage next March, April.
Brilliant, excellent. Right, another jam-packed, loads of great tips there. Thanks a million, Trish, for all of that. Some beautiful colour here as well at Boyles and at your local garden centre. Do make sure you call in, Trish, and all the experts will be here to answer your questions if you have any. That is it from us from this week. From myself, Alan, Trish and Dave here at the Garden Centre in Boyles. We will talk to you next time. And until then, happy gardening.